You ever wake up and know, in the bones, that the day you had planned just broke its promise? I did that morning before my coffee cooled, before my boots were scrubbed, before the dog even barked twice. I knew something had gone sideways. When I walked down to the gate and saw the cluster of tents and the blue tarp, my hands went into slow motion like the rest of me was still catching up. My name's Eli Mercer. I live on a strip of land folks call Ridge Hollow Small Cabin. Dog named Hank. Decades of work and a deed in a battered leather folder that smells like old ink and rain. I keep to myself. I mind fences. I plant trees. I fix what time breaks. This land's the honest thing I have to show for it. So when a woman in a blazer and a political smile told a crowd she had community rights to my field, something in me went quiet and then sharp. Her name was Vivian Hale, president of the Meadowview Association. Fancy title, loud voice, hair that never met a rake. She marched like she owned the horizon and held a clipboard like it was a scepter. "This is public access," she said, and people cheered like that made it true. I reached for the padlock on my gate and clicked it closed because property lines don't clap for speeches. That first confrontation was posture and sound. Vivian on her soapbox, me on the other side of the chain, Hank at my feet. I said, "You can't be here," and she folded me into a smile and said, "Eli, this is about people, not property." I told her, "It isn't my job to rewrite deeds with a crowd," and she snapped back, "Maybe your deed is what keeps them out." Her allies, bright-eyed kids and older folks fed a story about access and fairness, believed her, and belief can be a weapon. I started building a record because you learn quick when you're older. Cameras, timestamps, pictures of the deed tucked into my jacket. Evidence isn't pretty, it isn't loud, but it holds when feelings cool. I filmed Vivian handing out pamphlets, filmed the live streams where she turned my land into a parable, and I kept everything in a folder named by the date. I walked the fence line, made notes, talked to neighbors who would listen. Some sided with me, mostly the quiet people who'd seen the property long enough to know where the lines were drawn. The turning point came when the sheriff drove down, lights off, but presence heavy. He kept his hat on and his questions short. My lawyer, Rosa, called that morning and said, "Document everything. Don't let them bait you, Eli." Rosa is a small-statured woman with a steady voice and a folder full of experience. She learned to speak the sort of language that turns outrage into paperwork. When the deputy read the citation for trespass and asked the campers to pack up, Vivian's bravado faltered a little, but that falter didn't mean she'd disappeared. Pride is a funny thing. The louder you shout about being wronged, the easier it is to believe you're on the right side, even when things blur. Vivian doubled down. Her allies dug in. They spun a story that I was some reclusive rich man blocking the poor, and online comments sharpened like knives. I had neighbors come by with questions as if I'd been hiding something. A woman I used to trade recipes with told me she heard things I never said. Words travel faster than fences. Late one night, my security camera caught movement near the shed. Footprints pressed into the soft soil, the padlock missing, a smear of mud on the gate, and a timestamp, 2:13 a.m. I slept an hour and then walked the fence with a flashlight like a man taught to watch edges. The camera's little red eye blinked at me like a witness. I collected the footage, put it in the folder, and didn't go looking for a fistfight because that's not my way. I went to the county clerk instead and laid my deed on the counter, asked them to read the legal description aloud. Once an official voice says the boundaries, people start to listen differently. Rosa filed for a temporary restraining order to keep them off the land while we sorted the mess. Vivian called it censorship, and the live streams turned angrier, full of righteous outrage. Court is a strange theater. Vivian arrived like she owned a stage, bright dress, a small crowd that clapped at the right moments. She told the judge she was defending community access, raw and convincing. I sat with my hands in my lap because I'd learned that being steady looks better than being loud in a courtroom. The judge read deeds, noted timestamps, and the law, slow as it is, did what paper can do. It gave an order. The restraining order was granted. You'd think that would calm things. For some, it did. For others, stories are too tasty to let go. Vivian organized public meetings and rallies. She knew how to make a scene. She pulled people into the story, built an image of David versus Goliath that fit neatly on a phone screen. That is power of a different kind, the sort that uses sympathy like currency. Then came the act that changed how people saw us. My barn door was splintered in the morning. Someone had used a pry bar, but nothing valuable was missing. It was the message. Words in spray paint on the fence. You don't deserve this. It was crude, but it was personal. I felt anger, not because wood was broken, but because someone was trying to make me small. I called Rosa. We asked county officers to inspect. We turned the footage over to the sheriff, and I kept doing the thing I do, taking pictures, making notes, putting each piece where it belonged. I could have answered with men and threats. I could have tried to scare them off at night. I didn't. I poured energy into proof. Better lights, more cameras, interviews with a local reporter who asked calm questions and ran slow pieces about property law. The county issued orders. The encampment was on private land. No permit. Cleanup required. Paperwork isn't romantic, no, sir, but it works if you stick with it. The final scene had a clarity to it, public and messy. Vivian came to the farmer's market with a bullhorn, a sign, and supporters. She denounced the orders, named officials, and roused a chant. Deputies came and asked for order. She refused. I walked into the square because someone had to stand where witnesses could see. We faced each other across a handful of people with the sun making lines across my hands and the page of my deed. When she refused the deputy's order, they cited her. The cameras caught her crying, then pleading about compassion. Some in the crowd softened, others looked ready to move on. The county assigned restitution for damages and ordered the cleanup. Vivian's live streams dwindled, the rallies got smaller, the spectacle faded like a headlight along a country road. The ending wasn't neat. The restraining order stayed, citations were filed, restitution came from a fund her backers started, optics and guilt weaving together. I repaired the fence in the slow way of someone who measures twice and cuts once. I sowed clover and thyme, watched Hank chase a beetle, and let the quiet do the long work of healing. Inside, something shifted, not the land, not the legal lines, but how I saw people who've cheered on either side. Human, messy, surprised by their own choices. I still wonder about Vivian. Did she truly believe she was helping, or did being seen become the thing she chased until it overtook the cause? Maybe both. What I know is this: power without patience is combustible. Righteousness without listening is a bridge to nowhere. Holding the line is different from winning a shout. Sometimes it's about patience, paper, witnesses, and folks who'll stand with you in small, steady ways. If you've ever had a fence line turn into a battleground, tell me how you handled it. Were you the person beside the gate, or the one who rallied the crowd? Did the law help, or did it feel like watching grass grow while everything else burned? Drop a comment. Say what you think was justice served, or was it just noise? Share the story, pass it on, and if this one landed with you, subscribe for more that dig deeper than the headlines.